Hello, Jacksonites, and welcome to another zombie movie review. Ooh, wait, I gotta turn this off. Shit. There we go. Much better, yes. Okay, yeah, Heath, I definitely do agree that having this light off is much better lighting for me. There we go. Not quite. Damn it. There we go, that's better. Alrighty, so yes, today you read the title right. Also, apologies for not actually reviewing this movie the night that I did my unboxing video. I got sidetracked by watching a whole crap ton of movies. One of this being one of them. Today I'll be reviewing the 2014 zombie comedy Cooties, starring Elijah Wood. Yes, the guy who played Frodo. However, before I review Cooties, I'm going to unveil a couple of things that I got in the mail today. The first of which being something I've actually been looking forward to for quite a while, because I haven't had a pair of these in a very long time. And I enjoy walking around with a pair of these on. I got a new pair of gloves today. A pair of armored gloves. Technically, these are bicycle gloves, but there are military-grade gloves that have these knuckle bracers on them. They are plastic, but it is a pretty hard plastic, and they also have these studs on the knuckles here. These are really, really, really nice. Though my only issue with them is that the thumbs are a little long, especially on this glove. I kind of wish I could cut them off or sew them down, but I kind of feel like they would just start to go to shit if I did, so I'm going to see if I can get used to the thumbs. But overall, these are really, really nice gloves. So if I get confronted in the street, at least I have something with plausible deniability to use as a self-defense weapon. First off, next, we have another zombie movie here. This is Daylight's End, starring Johnny Strong and Lance Henriksen. Admittedly, this movie only had 3 out of 5 stars on, I think it was 3. It was either 3 or 4 out of. Actually, I think it was 4 out of 5 stars on Amazon.com. But it looked intriguing, and I still am obviously in the middle of a zombie phase. Years after a mysterious plague has devastated the planet and turned most of humanity into blood-hungry creatures, a rogue drifter on a vengeful hunt stumbles across a band of survivors in an abandoned police station. Ooh, that's a good place to hide out. And reluctantly agrees to try to help them defend themselves and escape to the sanctuary they so desperately need. It sounds intriguing. Granted, nowadays zombie movies, they really are a dime a dozen, but if it's done right, it can be enjoyable. And next, this is the last movie that I have purchased from Amazon, for my Christmas load, that is. And it has a fucking sticker. God damn it, I hate these fucking stickers. Fuck it, I'll get it off in a minute. And that is Ice Road Terror. No, that's not a T-Rex. That's a Komodo dragon. And I have a feeling this movie is going to be a complete lie, because on one side it has a giant Komodo dragon, and yet on the back it's a clear dinosaur. It's a Carnotaurus. Yet I've seen screenshots of it, and it looks like this movie just has giant Komodo dragons. To quote the angry video game nerd, why do they have to fucking lie? But, I'm willing to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. If only I could get this goddamn sticker off. I hate these stickers. Also doesn't help that I have no fingernails. I got something for your ass. Bitch. Oh, for fuck's sake, get off. I hate these fucking stickers. So anyway, to reiterate, we have a potentially shitty movie being Ice Road Terror. Another zombie movie that I hope is pretty decent at best. And a pair of badass gloves that I can use in a fight. With all that being said, let me put my handy dandy kniff away. Actually, I think I'll keep it out in case some zombie kids decide to pay me a visit. So yes, today I'll be reviewing the 2014 zombie comedy, Cooties. It has such a ridiculous title, but you know what? It works, especially for this film. So, I know almost nothing about the production to Cooties, obviously, so I'll just jump straight into the plot. The plot of Cooties is the film began. Oh God, the opening to this movie will make you never want to eat chicken nuggets ever again. You actually see chickens get their heads broken off, chopped into pieces, ground into meat pulp, and twisted and pulped and creamed and into this gelatinous blob of semi-chicken matter. Oh my God, the opening to this movie is just fucking gross. Like I said, it'll make you never want to eat chicken nuggets ever again. But it's very obvious that one of these chickens does not look right. And when this chicken is made to a chicken nugget, it has black spots all over it. But a little girl named Shelly takes a bite out of this chicken nugget and is infected with this zombie virus. Then Clint, our protagonist, played by Elijah Wood, wakes up and drives over to this school where Shelly is at to begin his job as a substitute teacher. It's his summer school, after all. He runs into his old high school crush. Oh crap! What's her name? Doesn't say. Shit! What the hell is her name? Okay, I actually have to use my computer for this. There we go. But he runs into his old high school crush, and he begins a conversation with this girl, and he discovers that she is dating the school's PE teacher. And he is obviously disappointed at this. But then school starts, and he goes to his classroom, in which Shelly is in there. And Shelly is obviously in pretty bad shape. Well, it's another video, and once... Yes, that's Brendan Tenold. She's obviously in pretty bad shape. She looks like she's utterly stoned off her ass, and she has these blisters showing up all over her face, and she She has a massive, massive, nasty, runny nose.
Need some pellets in the stove that ran out.
Okay. You can close the damn door. Sorry about that, people. Okay. I have the plot here in case I need some help. Lucy, that's her name. At the beginning of the movie, Elijah Wood's character Clint runs into his old school crush, Lucy, and discovers she is dating the school's PE teacher, named Wade. The PE teacher. So he goes to his classroom. Shelley is there, and she's clearly infected. And she attacks another student in the class named Patriot after he's trying to bully her, and he yanks on one of her pigtails, which rips off of her scalp. And it's actually a pretty grotesque scene. It's got really good sound effects too. And she attacks him and bites a bit out of his cheek, and she runs off, scratching Clint in the process. Clint takes Patriot to the nurse, and during recess, Shelley is trying to dig out before she goes fully infected, and another bully, his name is Dink, shows up and starts belittling her, but she fully turns into a zombie and scratches Dink's face. Dink turns as well and starts going around the playground scratching other children and turning them into zombies. And the virus spreads throughout the school, infecting most children, and they begin attacking. They kill, let's see, how many is it? They kill 7 staff members of the school in a pretty nasty scene of carnage. I mean, there's the vice principal alone gets all 4 of his limbs torn apart by just a whole charade of zombie kids. And in a really nasty showing of really good special effects. A police officer is called in to try to defuse the situation, but obviously he can't really tell what a fucking zombie child looks like. And he gets 2 fingers bitten off, so he gets back inside of his car, and he is mauled and presumably killed by Shelley when she snuck inside his car. Well, and obviously he's never seen Zombieland. Check the back. So yes, all that from eating a chicken nugget and scratching. So Clint and a few staff members, being Lucy, Wade, Tracy, Lacey, Rebecca, Doug, and Mrs. Burke, hide in the faculty lounge, but they are attacked by Patriot. He causes a little bit of ruckus, but he eventually grabs hold of Mrs. Burke, and they go inside a pantry, and she is mauled to death. The rest of the group runs away to go to another part. I think it's a science. No, it's a music room, a musical instrument room, part of the school, and barricade themselves in. Nearly being caught by Shelley, but when they close and lock the door, she just kind of stands there, and Doug, who is an extremely socially awkward science teacher, gets a look at her face and deduces some of her symptoms, but then she runs away. Wade discovers that Clint has been scratched, and he thinks he's infected, so he quarantines Clint inside some other room. He begins to vomit, but he does not turn into a zombie. And is at this point that not quite. They come across an uninfected child in the library who is studying for his history test. I think his name was Calvin, and they oh crap, what happens? Oh yeah. They barricade themselves in to the music room again, And they decide to wait until the parents come to pick their kids up, which I cannot deny is a stupid fucking plan. An utterly stupid plan. But they decide to wait for the kids' parents to come back. At 3 o'clock. And 3 o'clock finally rolls around, and the group gets up on the roof of the school, and they try to wave down the PTA president, who shows up and is completely oblivious to her zombie child. Zombie child gets in her car, and in a scene that actually shocked me, mauls his baby brother, and he transforms into a zombie and mauls his mom, who is completely oblivious to what was going on. What makes it disturbing is not what you see, but the sound effects that are used. I don't want to think about those. So, they realize that idea was completely fucking stupid. The staff are attacked by the children again, and Wade kills Dink by braining him to absolute death with a fire extinguisher when they lock themselves inside I think it's the auditorium. And Doug decides to be the Deus Ex Machina scientist, and I heard the movie was shit. No, this movie's not shit. It's not great, or it's not perfect, but yeah, this movie's not shit. Anyway, Doug decides to be the Deus Ex Machina scientist and somehow extracts Dink's brain and examines it and finds that the thing is all black and rotten all over because the virus has completely taken over his brain. And he deduces that this zombie virus... This is a horror... Yes, this is a horror comedy. And deduces that the virus is ineffective against people who are post-puberty. It only affects people who are prepubescent. So basically, any kids who are, I think it's like 11 or maybe 12 and under. Anybody who has gone through puberty is immune to mostly immune. They don't turn into a zombie. They just get mild stomach flu symptoms. Diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, chills, sweats, and such. After they find this out, they reunite with the school's janitor, Mr. Hitachi, who is Japanese. And soon after this, Calvin, the uninfected child that they found in the library, passes out due to him going into insulin shock. Is it a good pizza movie? I don't recommend eating anything while you're watching this movie, because not only do you see chickens get ground up into nasty-ass chicken nuggets, you see a kid pick his nose and eat it, and you see somebody sift through vomit with their bare hands, and you see somebody extract a child's dead, rotten brain. Exactly, that's why the movie is called Cooties. So no, I don't recommend this being a good pizza movie. You could just sit through it and have fun and riff on it. So anyway, Calvin goes into insulin shock, and Clint decides to go through the vents of the school to try to pick up a candy bar for Calvin, because that's what you do when somebody goes into insulin shock. You give them something sugary to bring their blood sugar level back up. And they also try to pick up Wade's keys to his dual wheel pickup truck. And they also try to get their hands on a couple cell phones, which for some reason the vice principal decided to confiscate all cell phones from every single staff member, which I'm pretty sure is bullshit, but whatever. Lucy decides to go along with Clint through the vent systems. They pick up a candy bar for Calvin. Lucy discovers that all of the cell phones have been destroyed by Patriot, and they also do manage to get Wade's keys. What happened to that part when the kids got in with their mom is exactly what I just said. And I'm not going to repeat it because it's the only scene in the movie that I do see myself skipping whenever I watch this movie again. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, they go back through the vents. The children have been alerted to their presence. They try to follow after Clint and Lucy, but they barricade the opening to the vents, and they bring Calvin out of diabetic shock. The group then reunites with Calvin and Lucy after they knock out some of the kids with their ADD and ADHD medication, causing them to overdose, and they kind of pull a Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and they make a whole bunch of makeshift weapons out of everyday items. The most obvious Scout's Guide reference, even though this movie came out before Scout's Guide, so not reference, but more like similarity, is Wade, this guy, makes like a homemade baseball shooting cannon, which is like either air powered or gas powered. So whenever you press a button, boom, a baseball shoots out and smacks into a kid's head, killing them. And they battle the children in the playground and eventually make their way to get the hell out. However, Mr. Hitachi and Wade are seemingly overwhelmed and attacked and killed by the kids. While on their way to the town of Danville, which is next to their own city, which is called Fort Chicken, which is a really stupid fucking, really stupid fucking name for a town. But they arrive at Danville after killing Patriot, who had snuck aboard their truck and ramming the truck backwards into Patriot's head, killing him. They discover that it has been overrun by infected kids, and the group learns that is a viral infection that is spreading across the U.S., and there's reports of violence and mayhem, disease, death, and destruction caused by kids who have been infected with this virus. And then they themselves are ambushed by a group of zombies. They barricade themselves inside a building and manage to retrieve a chicken nugget that has been infected with this virus, which Doug will again try to seemingly pull a Deus Ex Machina bullshit science thing and create a vaccine. But when they attempt to leave this building, it's very obvious it's like a funhouse, Chuck E. Cheese type building, and they are surrounded by a whole bunch of zombie kids inside a play structure. However, just as they're about to be torn to pieces, Wade and Mr. Hitachi show up. Wade sprays the kids with gasoline inside, and yes, this is a stupid movie. Wade sprays the kids with gasoline from a squirt gun and lights the entire area on fire. They get inside the van of the parking assistant. Let's see. No, he's a crossing guard. Excuse me, and his name was Rick. He has a van. They pile inside Rick's van and they drive out of town to someplace kids don't want to go, as the movie says. Right before the movie ends, they are pursued by Shelley, who was reenacting the I'm on fire scene from the Toxic Avenger, but she doesn't get far and falls and burns to death, which allows the survivors to make their getaway. So, how about this plot? Well, what can I really say? I can turn this off now. What can I really say about this plot? It's dumb, it's stupid, but it's also entertaining. And Rick Jones or just another Rick? What do you mean? It's dumb, it's stupid, but admittedly it is also kind of original and it is pretty well thought out. And it certainly isn't boring. This isn't one of the best zombie comedies I've ever seen, and this movie is not going to make one of my favorite zombie movies, but it is entertaining, and I did enjoy watching this movie quite a bit. So let's move on to the pros of Cooties. The acting overall is pretty decent. Elijah Wood, outside of Lord of the Rings movies, I've seen him in very, very little stuff. He played a small part in Spy Kids 3D, but he was only in that movie for like 4 minutes. He was, of course... Oh, crap. What was that movie? Or not movie, but show. That TV show that he was on FX, where he was talking to his dog, who is just a dude dressed up as a dog. Oh, crap. What the hell was that? What the fuck was that show called? Somebody in the comments let me know what that show was called. Elijah Wood FX show with dude dressed up as a dog. I can't remember the name of that show, but he wasn't bad in that. And aside from that stuff, this is the only movie outside of the Lord of the Rings movies where he has a main role. And he's not bad in this. And the rest of the supporting characters, they do a pretty good job as well. They're kind of hilariously over the top. However, with this movie being as ridiculous and stupid as it is, it's not really that bothersome. So it does fit the tone of this film. The characters overall are also pretty decent as well. I mean, they're nothing special. They're just kind of standard zom-com fare. Elijah Wood's character, he's a wannabe horror writer while also as a teacher for... Yeah, that's true. He doesn't give a great performance, but he doesn't do bad either. And the rest of the other characters, they're just not bad. They're not very deep. Not much is known about their history, except for Clint and Lucy. They have a history together. And outside of Doug, the Deus Ex Machina science douche, he's an extremely awkward dude who every time he's on screen, I just wanted to punch him. And apparently he had a 6-inch spike go into his brain, so that's why he's a little awkward, but still. But the characters overall are decent. The film's humor is also pretty decent as well, though a lot of it has to do with just awkward situational humor, and also some really, really dumb jokes, which actually that's a bit... that's actually one of the cons, but some of the jokes are kind of funny, but for the most part they're kind of dumb. I'll get to the really dumb one when I get to the cons. But the humor itself, it's decent. I mean, this movie is not like laugh out loud funny as something like Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse or especially Shaun of the Dead. I only got a few laughs out of this movie overall. I mean, I wasn't roaring laughing like I was the first time I watched Shaun of the Dead or Scout's Guide. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Then don't use your microphone. Why don't you just type it out? Anyway, so overall, the humor is just pretty decent. Like I said, it's not laugh out loud funny like Scout's Guide or Shaun of the Dead. The special effects in this movie are also really, really, really good, surprisingly. I have no idea what the budget was for this movie, though I imagine it was like maybe $5 or $8 million. If it was anything less than that, I'd be very surprised. But this movie has some really, really good special effects. It's got good gore effects. It's got good makeup effects. I mean, you do actually see some corpses that are half-eaten. They get their guts torn out. They get their throats ripped out. The guy's fingers get bitten off. And like I said, the vice principal, he literally gets torn limb from limb. The blood effects are good. This movie knows how to gross you out, which is both a good and bad thing, because it's admirable that this movie could actually gross me out, but I also don't like being grossed out. Overall, this movie's special effects were pretty solid. You definitely can't say that this movie suffers from having crappy special effects. And the zombie action overall is also pretty fun. It's not, amazing, but there are some pretty fun scenes of... hang on, I'm writing something down here. The zombie action overall is pretty fun. There's some good scenes of the zombie kids going around and killing bitches. people running away from the zombies and trying to fight back against the zombie kids. Like the final, or not really final, but when the teachers take up these homemade weapons and they start fighting back against the zombie kids, it is pretty entertaining. And I dare say it's almost a little bit better than the final scene when the Boy Scouts went up against the zombies in Scout's Guide. It's longer than that, which is more than I can say for Scout's Guide, but it's also not quite as fun as Scout's Guide because it doesn't have Rock You Like a Hurricane playing. But it still is fun. And overall, this movie is entertaining, especially in the last 25 minutes. And the last pro that I have here, this is the one thing I was writing down just a second ago. This movie has really good cinematography. There's a lot of one of my favorite shots in the film was after Dink had been infected. There was a slow-mo shot of Dink running past all these kids, and as he passed them, he was scratching them as he went. And it wasn't like total slow-mo, but it was slow enough so you could actually see what he was doing, and it kind of gave you a sense of doom. It made you realize, oh shit, the virus is spreading through the school. These guys are so fucked. This movie has overall really, really good cinematography. There's a lot of longer takes. There's a lot of tight editing, but there's also a lot of slower editing. There's a lot of long takes. Like I said, that goes part into slow editing. Overall, this movie has really good cinematography. It's fun. It's fun to look at, and it's pleasant to look at. So with all those good things said about the pros, let's get into the cons. There's really only 3. Some of the jokes in this movie are pretty dumb. Doug is portrayed as being this really awkward, socially awkward dude because he had a 6-inch spike in his brain as a young one. They try to make him out to be funny, but he's really just not. He's really, really not funny. There's a lot of scenes where I just wanted to deck him so bad. He's not funny. He's not even remotely interesting, aside from the fact that he can pull all this Deus Ex Machina science bullshit out of his ass. Slither, I really do want to see that movie. It's a shame that the Blu-ray is so fucking expensive. But anyway, some of the dumbest joke in this movie is Wade not being able to pronounce the words dual wheel. He always pronounces it dual wheel. Dual wheel. A dual wheel 4x4. Dual wheel. It's not funny. He does it 3 times in the film. In the beginning, in the middle, and end. And none of those times is it funny. It's not even remotely funny. It's just dumb. It is so fucking dumb. I also feel that this movie is a little too short. I think the plot itself overall could have been expanded upon quite a bit. I mean, this movie is 87 minutes long, not counting credits. That's a pretty short movie. I don't really like. This movie does have potential to be really good. And it is good, it's just not as good as it could be. And overall, this movie just could have been better, and if this movie was longer and there was a lot more stuff that was put into it, this movie would have been a lot better. The biggest problem that I have with this movie is its ending. After Wade, with Wade showing up and dousing the kids in gasoline and setting them on fire, that ending just kind of speeds up to Mach 5 to just get it over with. And the movie ends rather abruptly. It just ends with the group of survivors driving away into the distance to an unknown place that we know nothing about, and just a vague sense of somewhere where kids do not want to go. There's plenty of places that kids don't want to go. School is one of them, though I doubt that's a place that they'll be going to. This movie's ending is really, really abrupt, and I hate to admit this, it's kind of crappy. So with all that said about Cooties, it's not bad. Yeah, I get they could be going to a hospital, so yeah, that's a fair point. With all that said, Cooties is really not a bad film. It's stupid, but it's fun. If you want to get a few friends together and you want to riff a fun zombie movie that admittedly has some pretty really good special effects that can gross the shit out of you, um, by all means, Cooties is a pretty good. Sorry, I'm closing my laptop. Cooties is a pretty good movie for you guys to sit down and watch. I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's not bad, but there's some missed potential here. This movie was a little longer. It had a better ending, and some of the jokes weren't as dumb. This movie would have been gold. But as it stands, it is still pretty decent, and I do recommend it. So post your comments down below and let me know what you think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends, and as always, I will see you in the next video with hopefully a questionnaire video. But that's kind of up in the air. Depends on my brother.